I hope that our next book that highlights a romance or any type of relationship puts the men in a better light.
He had no swimmers, shooting blanks. King William, King Louis, one of those way back when, would have his wives beheaded because they couldn't give him any children. Come to find out,
Yes.
it's him.
Yes.
I hope you praying over the crotches too.
The secrets they were keeping, one theme across the entire story that I think speaks to Black culture as a whole is all the secret keeping and how unhealthy, unnecessary, how it contributes to generational trauma. But then it's also like, y'all, some of this stuff did not have to be kept a secret. Y'all are doing a lot.
You can't be mad that you came to somebody else's marriage and now you don't feel secure.
We talk about people needing to communicate. At this
Uh-huh.
point, Robert had communicated very clearly in multiple times that he was not comfortable with him being in there.
Yeah. I thought you was gonna agree with me, sis. I did not realize we had these opposing views.
We don't just read the books, we dissect them. Line by line, brick by brick. That was mad dramatic. But we do break down the layers and how fiction echoes real life. This is Shelf Sabotage.
Hey everybody, today we are reading Happy Land by Dolen Perkins-Valdez. So in the hills of Appalachia, there once was a kingdom. Nikki hasn't seen her grandmother in years due to a mysterious estrangement inherited from her mother. So when the elder calls out of the blue with an urgent request for Nikki to visit her in the hills of western North Carolina, Nikki hesitates for only a moment. After years of silence in her family, she's determined to learn the truth while she still can. But instead of giving answers about the recent past, Mother Rita tells Nikki an incredible story of a kingdom on this very mountain, and of her great grandmother, Luella, who would become its queen. It sounds like the makings of a fairy tale, royalty among a community of free people. But the more Nikki learns about the kingdom of Happy Land and lives of those who dwelled in the ruins she discovers in the woods, the more she realizes how much of her identity and her family's secrets are wrapped up in these hills. Because this land is their legacy, and it will be up to her to protect it before it, like so much else, is stolen away. Inspired by true events, Happy Land is a transporting, multi-generational novel about the stories that shape us and the dazzling courage it takes to dream. Woo! All right, sis.
I really, really like the cover of this book. I really am liking the historical fiction genre. Besides the American Girl books that I was reading back in the day,
Oh, yes.
those were probably my first historical fictions, but in my adult
Yeah.
life, this is really it. And I've enjoyed these two that we've read, so I probably will do more. I enjoyed the story. I was listening again, and it was easy to listen to. I liked the narrators' voices, and they didn't do too much. I hope that our next book that highlights a romance or any type of relationship puts the men in a better light.
Yeah, let's get into that. Well, first of all, my first impressions, it was interesting, but I was waiting for the jump off point, and I actually enjoyed Luella's story more than the modern story because I was curious about the kingdom.
I agree with you. I found myself listening like, okay, hurry up and get back to the back in the day story. I found that way more interesting. I could see what the author was doing in terms of trying to make that parallel. In both instances, we're trying to hold on to this land and we end up having a legal battle. We have a couple different settings. The very beginning, they are basically fresh out of enslavement. Technically are free, but they're still getting whipped, living in fear. Fast forward, we have Kingdom of the Happy Land, their journey to that. And then current day, you have where Nikki lives then.
North Carolina,
Yes.
but initially the land was spread between
Mhm.
North and South Carolina. One thing that irritated me though was the mom, Laurel. Nikki's the main character.
Yeah.
She goes to visit grandma, Mother Rita, but her mom just couldn't believe that there was a kingdom. They're not talking about Buckingham Palace now. Like anybody can call something a kingdom and
Right.
say, I'm your queen.
Yes.
Why is it so unbelievable?
Yeah.
And it makes sense that they would call it a kingdom if they've just now become free.
Mhm.
This is their safe haven. Homecoming king, homecoming queen. We know they're not a king and queen. And for real, this is what they
Mhm.
have and this is theirs.
I don't know if I would have believed it or not. I would not have been so close to it. It also said something about the naming of things. It's just like the value of money.
People take things so
Literally,
literally.
yes. Mhm.
but it's also because they were Black. If a white Scottish person would be like, "Oh, yeah, I had a kingdom, and this was my throne,"
Yeah.
they would be like, "Oh my god, Scottish king."
Mhm.
Like, the land, I just imagine, fields of flowers
Yes.
and a magical presence
Mhm.
around it.
Yeah. To your point, you could see why they would call it a kingdom.
It's theirs, they're free, so
Mhm.
I completely get it. Mother Rita was killing me in the beginning.
The secrets they were keeping, one theme across the entire story that I think speaks to Black culture as a whole is all the secret keeping and how unhealthy, unnecessary, how it contributes to generational trauma. But then it's also like, y'all, some of this stuff did not have to be kept a secret. Y'all are doing a lot.
I was expecting something very salacious, like somebody's not somebody's daddy.
Yeah.
So, like, I mean, there's money withheld. These secrets, I was like, this? You know how you hold on to something so long and
Yes.
it festers and you think it's a big deal?
Yeah.
And then when you finally say it out loud, you're like,
I'm childish.
this is embarrassing. I was holding on to some bullshit. I feel like there were thread lines that weren't fully developed.
Mhm.
Like how would Luella has come through to Nikki and how this is all about her. Is it? Because I don't see any parallels between Nikki and Luella. She got to keep family land. But there was a line, she said it was all for me at the end.
Mhm. Yes.
And I was just like, I guess, girl.
Y No. I know what you're talking about.
Nikki kept referencing, I'm trying to figure out what the riff is between my mom and Mother Rita. And they're saying Luella has to do with all of it. They kept making that reference. And it all began with Luella. Luella is the reason. Like, I need to know about Luella in order to know about why they're not speaking. All this could have been avoided with a little communication. She takes Maddie Mae by the hand, and the two of them leave me alone in the garden, stunned and finally understanding that all of this, all along, was for me. This is when she tells Mother Rita she got the 4 acres back. Nikki just needed, I don't say her life had no purpose, but she was lost. So maybe this was her thing that she found.
Saying Luella fought to save the land for her like, I just don't feel Luella did some whole bunch of amazing things to keep the land for her to
No,
make
she just
that
worked.
statement.
Yeah, yeah. Work.
I remember them being in there with the attorney and she was feeling away because she wanted to talk about it, but they went ahead and made the deal. The council was upset because they felt like they should have talked about it first. They ended up
Mhm.
having to leave the land for a
Yes.
bit. Then she was like, no, we gonna be back on the land by Christmas. Maybe it's just a weakness in the storyline or the
Yeah.
writing. I just don't feel like
I-
it was pressed enough for what she did to make that
mm.
statement. There's at least 2 other books about this same story, and one of them
Oh,
is
really?
called The American Queen, and it's by
Okay.
Vanessa Miller. Both of these came out in 2025, which I find interesting.
Mhm.
On a Instagram post, it was a book talker comparing the 2 books, and the people were in the comments talking about which one they liked more, and most of the people liked the other one better because it did not deal with the love triangle as much. They were like, "I'm not here for all that." So I'm curious if maybe those tellings do focus more on the role she played. I just don't
Mhm.
feel I got that. I didn't see where she fought so much. Back to your point of the connection keeps coming back to Luella.
I feel like Dolan really wanted to center a woman protagonist
Mhm.
because she did play her part once the man went off, but they did get the land because her father was like, "We need to leave, cross anchor."
Mhm.
And William was like, "Let's make this a kingdom." And he was the one that started the foundation, then Robert kept it going.
Yes. Yeah.
It was the foresight of the men that got it to be a kingdom. Okay. So this love triangle.
Girl.
I initially thought she was gonna end up with Robert in the beginning when she said he was eyeing her, smiling at her, and then she ended up with William.
Mhm.
Now, William was a little older. He was the older brother
Mhm.
between the two. I don't even know where to begin because I never felt chemistry between them, and she didn't either.
"Hey, do you wanna be my woman?" "Yes." "Okay, let's go."
I think that's how dating was back then. There was no courting.
No.
Even when she said in the beginning she was trying to have a baby, so she did her wifely duties, even though it left her dry.
Uh,
And it was like, he ain't it.
we peeped what time Robert was on from the get-go when he came up into that dressing
Yeah.
room to try on his stuff. He was flirting.
Mhm. I feel maybe there was a competition with them to begin with. Maybe Robert was like, I like Luella.
Mhm.
And William was like,
I can see that. Mhm.
she's too much of a woman for you, little brother. Let me go ahead and snatch this up.
Yeah.
So William hits her in the very beginning of their marriage because she said she feels stupid wearing the crown. She felt stupid and silly being a queen. So again, it goes to show
Mhm.
it's all in the name. Like
Yes.
she knew she was their queen, but she was not a queen that had any authority outside of their kingdom.
With Adam Clayton Powell, it was early on in their marriage when he had old girl up in the penthouse. They're showing their true colors early on. He slapped her very early in the situation. You problematic already. It made me think about, I haven't read the book, but I've seen commentary around the book, The Body Keeps the Score, and the idea of your body holding on to trauma. She never really got over that because it comes up a couple other times down the line.
You never even got hit in slavery. And now your husband hitting you?
That was bad enough. But then he said something to her about her needing to make herself useful because you don't have a child.
Yes. You
And
can't even give me a
you ain't
child.
even have a woman.
Yes. And
Oh,
I mean, it was years after he hit her, she said he was trying to make up for it. And then he made that comment seemingly out of nowhere, which in hindsight, she
it was
wasn't the problem.
okay. And I knew this, sis. I was like,
I knew it too. I knew it. He had no swimmers, shooting blanks, which reminds me of King William, King Louis, one of those way back when he would have his wives beheaded because they couldn't give him any children.
mhm.
Come to find out,
Yes,
it's him.
yes, yes. I used to watch the Tudors.
Yeah, it was like, you can't even have any children. No, you can't have no children.
But you know how frequently that
Yes.
happens? And the wife, the woman is in turmoil, thinking something's wrong with
Yes.
her whole
There was
time.
actually a post that came across my social media. It was a church praying over women's wombs to have babies. And, Ace Hood's
Mhm.
wife, she responded and said, I hope you praying over the crotches too. It's caused by men, low sperm count.
And I feel like that's just so low.
So mean.
And some of them probably have an inner feeling deep down that it is
It's
them, but
so they're projecting.
they're
Mhm.
projecting. Because, like you said, it came out of nowhere.
Nowhere. And it's probably been festering on his mind. You can't give me a child.
The very first red flag was when she said that William didn't want them to socialize with the people.
Yes.
Like,
And when they get up after dinner,
immediately I was like, "You trying to isolate me."
I didn't think that.
If not that, it brought me to the idea of, like, elitism.
That's what I thought. He was trying to make sure he let the commoners know
Yes,
we are above you all.
and I don't like stuff like that.
I actually thought when that happened, I thought that was gonna make the rest of the kingdom turn on them.
It was a lot of times where I was like, "Okay, surely the townspeople are gonna be like, I don't know if there just was not enough room in the story for this." You know, this day and age, with that triangle, it's all in the social media. It's all over the place. So where's
Bliss.
the outrage?
I just knew the rest of the kingdom was gonna turn once they found out she was with Robert. It was like you could have had any other man, but they was just like, "Shit, we free."
That's what I was like, they
We
they
here.
like, that's the least we ain't worried about that.
William goes off to the mines
Mhm.
to work. So secretive. I thought he was leaving to another family. He gets in an accident and he's blinded.
Sis, now, he's blinded, but can still see a little something.
He can still see a little something. So he could have brought his ass back
Yes, he was putting on a little bit because he wanted to stay in the house longer.
because he was old and decrepit and he needed somebody to care for him now.
What annoyed me was when it came out that supposedly the whole time he went to go build her the school,
Schoolhouse. You could have said that
you could have said that. So miss me with that. I don't want to hear that, please.
at all. He said, I'm going to the mines to work with one of the men today. She was like, the mines, isn't that dangerous? And he said, we need the money in the treasury. So he did kind of say, he said, they say the money good and we need it in the treasury.
Sis,
Now, over what?
that was not specific enough.
It wasn't. It wasn't. But he said it was for the money. He said, William was acting strange, but I was so sleepy that I went back to bed without thinking too much of it. That's when I thought he acted strange. He going with another woman.
Uh-huh.
Then it said, "It never crossed my mind that my husband wouldn't return the night or the night after or the night after." And I said, "Good." Like, because this was like a couple days later after he said that little comment, he doesn't come back for weeks. Robert, his younger brother, finally comes and said he's blinded. He doesn't want to come back because he's ashamed. He doesn't want to see you like this. And he doesn't want the rest of the kingdom to see him like that. Okay. Robert sees his end and he makes a move on her.
Yes.
The new king
Mhm.
wants her to be his queen. We all saw it coming.
Absolutely.
But she had more chemistry with Robert. They end up having 2 children. And she said she thought the people were gonna turn on her, but nothing.
Nothing. Nope.
Nothing. If anything, it made the women like her more.
Yes. They was so excited for when she got pregnant.
She gets pregnant 3 times, but it's a miscarriage.
Mhm.
It's like 10 years later, William comes back. Now he's old. He ain't got no family. He was all by himself, and he's ready to come back to the kingdom. Robert couldn't even be man enough to tell her he was coming back.
Yes.
He had her dad tell her. That was like, "That's still your husband."
But the dad was
Still
on
gotta
my
do.
last nerve though, because he also encouraged her to be with Robert. So I'm like, Dad, I'm not listening to you no more because you got me messed up.
Once William comes back, he's not fully blind. He look older. When he hugged her, she could smell that his teeth were rotten. So he's in the house, and Robert is in a fit of fury. He gotta go. He can't be here too long. She's like, "That's still my husband. I gotta take care of him." You don't have to, because he left you.
Exactly.
She was being helpful to William, and Robert was so upset. One day, William's feet was swollen, and she took off
Was
his
doing too
sock.
much.
You thought she was doing too much with that?
We talk about people needing to communicate. At this
Uh-huh.
point, Robert had communicated very clearly in multiple times that he was not comfortable with him being in
Yeah.
there. If you know that you want Robert, regardless of whatever obligation you feel like you had to William, you could have made sure he was good at your father's house
Else.
or
Mhm.
somewhere else. But that's when Luella was getting on my nerves because I'm like, you want your cake and eat it too. When that scene came where she was now ready to be back with Robert and he was like, "It's too late," I know that cut her like a knife.
For me, you crept in on your brother's wife because you saw she was a good woman, and now your brother's back, and she's continuing to be a good woman and take care of him. She's a good person. She's like, "Dang, he really needs somebody. He has nobody.
No,
I'm gonna help him out. We're still family."
no.
And you wanna throw him to the wolves.
I don't feel like that's why she was doing it. She was doing it for a slither because her dad was guilting her into it, but the rest of it was because she still deep down loved 2 men at the end of the day.
I think she was ever in love with William.
I say that because of the friendship they had. I don't know that the physical attraction was necessarily there because I think it says that even though they ended up starting to sleep together again, they never were sexual. There's whole marriages where they have written their own rules. It was 2 different types of in love. With Robert, there's the lust, the ooh, ooh,
Sexual
ooh.
attraction.
With William, it was for real friendship that they developed over the years and a trust after everything they had been through. I felt bad in the sense that I know she was blindsided, but she shouldn't have
Mhm.
been because he had been telling her. Let's say he was wrong because she was just being a good
Mhm.
woman. We say we want them to communicate, and the last straw was him walking in on her, rubbing up on William's his feet. Like that was
Yeah.
it.
But for me, it was like, I mean, you took his wife. What did
Yeah, he left. He was gone.
But, I mean, you can't be mad that not that he has a right to do that, but they're still legally married, so if he wants to come back and be like, I'm ready to take my spot back as the man of the house,"
Uh-huh.
you can't be mad because you moved into his marriage and moved into his house, you
What?
moved in on his woman.
Sis.
I know. I thought you was gonna agree with me, sis. I
Mm,
did not realize we had these opposing views. Yes, I was like, you I kinda felt the same way I felt about Hazel. You get him how you lose him. You was the other woman,
okay.
and he's doing his thing with other not that Luella was cheating, but
Mhm.
you can't be mad that you came to somebody else's marriage and now you don't feel secure.
I do think he was projecting his insecurities, but Luella was starting to get on my last nerves because when you fast forward and they were at Cordelia's wedding and Robert had come back with his sister, she thought it was some other woman.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Even if he was with somebody else, after everything that you did, like I did not see her as innocent in the situation at all.
Innocent, no, because you really why would of all the men, you had your husband's brother? But she still loved him when he left, so I could see why she would be hurt, like, "Dang, he went and found somebody else?"
Would the sentiment be the same if she had gotten somebody that wasn't his brother? The weight of it is more because they're brothers. If
Yeah,
it had been some random somebody that came along the way, we don't know that William is gonna ever come back. It's been years. And so she gets with this other somebody, they together. I feel like the extra discomfort with it is because it's his brother.
'cause it's his brother, yes.
Yeah.
If it wasn't his brother, he wouldn't have been.
I feel like he still would have felt a way, but that
Yeah,
exasperated it.
yeah, and then he also probably felt shame with his brother too, like,
Mhm.
"You left and I took your woman."
And had children. Having the kids piece is like,
Yes.
whew. I could understand why Robin wanted William out because the children initially were confused. And then, however, they were able to explain it to them, they was like, bet. And they started developing this relationship with William. And usually, you would want your children to
Mhm.
have a good relationship with their uncle. But this is a
Yeah,
totally different situation. And I could see Robert looking like those are not your kids. And so I
yeah.
need you to calm down. It's just a weird, weird situation.
We also gotta remember, although they felt grown, they were probably between 17 and 21. The confusion is very much makes sense, like, going between one person to the other, but they were so young because they were getting married at, like, 16, 17. But when you talked about the kids,
Mhm.
it was so weird to the end of the book where she kept saying, "And they're daddies, and they have 2 fathers." And it was like, "No, they have a father and an uncle. Stop making this weirder than it needs to be."
But that's what I'm saying. Luella was a big part of the problem, sis, because that's how she was carrying it for Robert, just off of the strength of his manhood or whatever. That ain't
Mhm.
cool. Like, let us keep it clear, you know.
Yeah,
And I think that in her mind, she wanted it to be. It really makes me think about this day and age, like the way that I was raised. There ain't no blended family. You know what I'm saying? But I know people who are
yeah,
like they blended. The whole family get along. The steps get along. Like all there ain't no steps. Like all this stuff. No. So I feel like that it's like that differentiation. Like she wanted it to be what a lot of people's modern blended family is,
yeah,
and he was on my mom's time. Like absolutely
yeah.
not.
My family can go either way. My uncles, they weren't married, but his ex-girlfriend, they have one of my cousins together. My uncle went off to the military. She got with somebody else, and he's passed now, but Richie would come by the house and hang with us. Like, my dad will go out of town to Georgia and stay with my aunt on my mom's side. My mom will come up here and stay with my grandmother on my dad's side.
That's
So it's
so
not like as
fascinating.
long as it wasn't nothing completely egregious that happened, then yeah.
I know a lot of people like that.
The relationship with Nikki's ex-husband, Darius, I
Mhm.
like.
Yeah.
That's a thread line through the generations. They can stay cool with their ex-husbands, even work with them.
Yep. There's something to be said for the friendship you develop if you remain friends
Yeah.
because you know the person so well. So, like, even when he was there trying to help her and she was snapping and biting his head off, it's like he
Mhm.
knew, okay, she going through.
And she said he never cheated, so there wasn't no feelings of animosity. We just weren't meant to be together anymore. I guess she was gonna end up with Brian, the librarian.
That was what was being hinted at.
Yeah, but I like that it wasn't said or it didn't turn into romance between them 2 because I couldn't take that.
Yes. Speaking of that, he's the one that brought the white woman who
Yeah,
had
the
written the
pamphlet.
account. Her account was inaccurate, and it speaks to who gets to tell the stories and how they be telling them.
So Llewellyn was making it weird. I think she felt like she put this wedge between the brothers.
Yes, mhm.
But it was like, Robert did that.
They both did that, sis. You're being
Okay.
too
But
easy on Luella.
yes, because, like, for me, nobody can break up a marriage except the person in the marriage.
True.
Nobody can break up a brotherhood but the brother.
But both of those things happened, and there was one common denominator.
Fair. But I said as far as coming between brothers, Robert did that.
Yes,
Coming between a marriage, she did that.
yes.
Like, yeah, maybe I am being too
You being too soft.
but then they got married.
Yes.
I hated that Robert left though. Like, you had to leave the kingdom. You had to leave your kids behind.
The lack of communication because he was gone for so long. Luella's feeling abandoned again. And the reason why he was gone, great, fine. But why couldn't you have sent word back? I don't understand.
Sent word back, and then you left, which gave William a clear space to now
Mhm.
do the thing you didn't
Yeah.
want to happen. Foolish.
There was some place where somebody must have said something about sitting around and napping all day, and the whoever was talking said, "Sit around and nap all day." And then they said, "I have never met a lazy colored person. It was not
Yeah.
something allowed of us." And I wrote generational trauma. And then it said, "The
Mhm.
ones who hated slavery with every inch of their body were called lazy." I said, and
Mhm. Isn't that crazy?
it's the same thing now, sis. We be
Yes.
working.
God forbid you take a nap in the middle of the day. What, you in the bed this time of day? It's like I done did 50 million things and I just wanted to rest. And at this very moment,
Yeah.
you you are upsetting me.
That period when I was planning the wedding and getting ready for the move, and it was just so much going on. I'm teaching, and I was talking to Monique, a friend, and I was saying, "Ugh, I'm just so lazy." And when I tell you, she gave me, like you told me, I gave you.
Sermon?
That's what she gave me. And I have never said that about myself again. And it's like, the
Yeah.
reality is, I know that I'm not lazy. That is the language they want you to be using
Mhm.
about yourself to keep you in that cycle. And she was just like, "No, sis, like you overworked, you burnt out. It's the
Yeah.
system." And I said, "You absolutely right."
Even for the quote unquote lazy people, our bodies have done enough work for so long.
Mhm.
That's been passed down from generations to generations. We deserve a little rest. The people calling us lazy, the people that went to another continent to find people so they don't have to do the labor themselves.
Yep.
So
I had a mentee who was going through at a job, and she was constantly telling me she was stressed out, she burnt out. I told her, "This is not about you comparing yourself to them or lowering your standards, but I can
mhm.
guarantee you that you could do half of what you are
Mhm.
currently doing, and you still would be doing way more than what they're doing and outpacing
Mhm.
them." I said, "You are fine to chill. I promise you." Later down the line, we caught up, and she was like, "I did take your advice." At the end of the day, they are doing nothing,
Exactly.
sis,
Mhm.
and still getting rewarded.
They fill up.
I like the epilogue. It gave family reunion vibes, which I love because our family is really big on family reunions.
When they came together, she was
Mhm.
like, "I found cousins I didn't even know I had." So you really feel like it was the mother's fault for not giving her the money to pay the taxes? That's how the men found out that they did actually own the lands, because they got a thing saying they owe taxes?
I think that's oversimplification.
After your daddy died, Mother Rita called and asked me to help with the property taxes. I had some life insurance money and she knew it, but I refused. I didn't believe in the old kingdom story and I thought she should give up the house and move closer to us. The
Mm.
Thomas family were the rightful owners of the land by that time, but your grandmother wouldn't budge. She had been paying the property taxes as if it was still her land. So what came in the mail
Mhm.
was the bill for the property taxes.
Uh-huh.
But because the new family, the Thomases owned it, that bill went to the Thomases saying you owe property taxes on such and such.
I was thinking about when she was saying that she thought that she would eventually pay it if she pushed back hard enough, but she thought if she stalled, she would give up and come live in DC with her. That's what I was thinking about. It seems that Mama Rita did not fully impress upon her really where they were, because she's saying that she
Yes.
did not realize
How
that they were
far
at the last straw. Kind of, sort of, it does fully lie on Laurel's feet, because the way that she's gone this whole time, it probably wouldn't have changed her mind. And ultimately, that's
behind.
the reason why it went to the other people.
Yeah, because at the time she didn't know the other people owned it. Even if your mom was only 1 month behind, if you're not helping her, she's going to continue to be months behind,
Yeah.
and then they would have been gone anyway.
That's so selfish, hoping it would get to that point where she would have to come move with her.
Yeah,
That in and of itself is a lack of communication. It sounds like she
yeah,
did tell her that's what she wanted, but you're playing games. Laurel's disbelief was so strong that
yeah.
ultimately, yes, it's her fault.
Even the communication part with the cousin that sold it,
Yeah.
you had to have known
Mhm.
this wasn't only for you. But usually, like Nikki said, when you go to sell a house or sell some property, they'll do a search to make sure you
Mhm.
have all of the owner's approval.
Yep.
Like my mom, my maternal grandmother's passed, but her house is still there. She didn't leave a will. So if they go to sell it, one sibling can't sell it. Why did the mom do a second mortgage? Nikki was betting on them being able to buy back the land by her mom taking out a second mortgage. Which, how you betting on somebody else?
I was like, you're tripping. Like, regardless of the reason why, like it was hers.
Exactly.
Yeah.
She's like, I couldn't believe she didn't tell me. Like, excuse me?
In
Okay.
chapter 3, page 18, this bottom of the third paragraph, to read was to have the language to ask for the things you wanted. So I became determined to teach myself. To read was to have the language to ask for the things you wanted was so good to me. The idea of reading and books as opening up so much, which is why literacy is so key.
All weekend, I've been talking to stores about the babies don't read anymore. They don't have any comprehension skills. And there's this video going around where the kids didn't know. There were 3 words in the sentence they didn't know. Silhouette, extraordinary. Silhouette, that's a word that you hear, but you may not realize how it's spelled. But extraordinary was killing me. I'm like, it's just extra. That's I feel like that's a 3rd grade word. And and then the kids that could read it, they couldn't say in their own words what it actually meant.
One of the book talkers I follow posted, I feel sorry for people who don't read. Y'all are missing out.
And I get not wanna read a book, but you don't read an article.
There's so many modalities this day and age. It's really no excuse.
The people that I have no respect for are people that are illiterate and okay with it. People are like, "Who cares? I'm getting money." And it's like, you probably get ripped off and you don't even know it because you can't read the contracts. You're gonna end up in prison for tax fraud because your accountant was stealing from you, and you don't even know it.
You're about to be like, sis, the way your mind is. But you saying that made me think about Floyd Mayweather. Do y'all remember when Tiny got her lick back when the T.I. and Tiny show used to come on? And it was that scene where him and her are at the restaurant, and T.I. is basically mad at her because she was out with Floyd. And they're going back and forth, and everybody in the comments was like, when he said, but was you at odds with her? Would have sent me. Anyway, that's what you made me think of when you said that. It's Floyd.
Okay, I thought this was gonna get into the fact that Floyd can't read,
That's
but
triggered the thought because he can't read, and that's who Tiny wanted to be messing with. Mind you, she's married to Mr. What's his favorite word? Expeditiously.
I also do wonder if T.I. can read for real too, because he just some people just use words that they just heard, and it's just like,
When people used to ask me who my favorite rapper was, I would say Nas
oh,
because that's my brother's favorite rapper, and I was not really listening to rap, so I'd be like, "Oh, Nas," because whatever. But when I really started listening to music for myself, I would say Ti because I really liked Ti. And
mhm,
I feel like as I've gotten older, my appreciation when he talks about, his song he just came out with him,
mhm.
girl, first of all, Ti, he could get it right now, this very second. If I wasn't
He
with
was my
Corinthians.
he was my crush in 10th grade.
Listen, I have loved that man. But even though he's very ridiculous, he's very trife, okay?
Yes.
But to me, he is a good lyricist. I don't know if
Mhm.
that comes from because you really don't have to know how to. Because look at. I hate to even reference him, but R. Kelly, he was
Yeah.
writing them songs, but they say he couldn't read
Mhm.
for real. So I'm like, to your point, I don't know. I feel like he he does Ti, but it's a
Yeah.
really good point that you make where you could technically be well versed in the language and able to communicate, but not be able to read.
Somebody I went to college with. She's one of those people that when she writes her Facebook status, it's all these words trying to make you sound smart. Just speak English.
Yeah.
It's like, girl, the spelling be all incorrect. And it's like, okay. But English is a hard language, I will say that.
It's a white guy. He does these skits where he's pretending to teach people English, and he'll be like, "So if this is read, then this should be and this read." But they're thinking that
Huh.
it's because like all of our words, they don't make sense when you change.
They don't.
Child. I've been seeing a lot of posts where they're talking about Gen Z hates millennials. Listen, I don't know if that's true, but that phenomenon is giving AI and technology a bad name because we are the prototype. We came up with this technology that could do
Yeah.
so much more for us, but we still had to be able to do it ourselves. Critically think
Thinking is another one that's just
out the window.
it's just non-existent.
They don't have to do that anymore. If they don't want to, they don't have to do it. And it's like, man, if we ever are in a like end of world situation, millennial me, please, we gonna figure something out.
They're advanced when it comes to political things,
Yes.
knowing about mental health.
Yes.
Ooh, the baby's gonna be all right.
Yes.
And then there's sometimes you be like,
Interviews and panels asking what gives you hope for the future. I would always say Gen Z because I really believe that. What you say about mental health, I love that they are so all about that. They are not with anything that's going
mhm.
to deter them from being well. But to me, part of being well is being able to think critically and not just have stuff fed to you.
To your point, to read is to have the language to ask.
Yes, yes. Luella was talking about that in the context of learning to read at that time, which was not the norm.
Once somebody knows how to read, or a child knows, the world is their oyster.
She said, I thought books was magical, that they cast spells. When I tell the story about Left on Red, I could really get lost in all the worlds that I was reading about when I was younger.
Mhm.
And it also so enriched my vocabulary. I tell anybody to
Oh,
this day, reading
mhm.
and my favorite
Yeah.
singer being Mariah Carey is what got my vocabulary to where it is. I love the moments when I'm talking about something and a word just comes to my mind, sis. And
I was just about to say that. And it's like, I'll say a word, I'll double check, was like, I didn't know I knew that word.
exactly.
That happens to me all the
I
time.
love that feeling. And I know that it's because I read.
Yes. I think that's why I'm so creative. I love stories. My mom was a reader.
Mm-hmm.
Danielle Steele,
Mm-hmm.
Terry McMillan,
Mm-hmm.
Stella got her groove back, all that.
Uh-huh.
So I was into reading too. You could
Yeah.
take me to the library on Saturdays,
Mm-hmm.
and so once I got into like first grade, I was out reading my peers like,
Yes.
I don't know the word. She read to me at night.
There's an organization here called Storytime Village, and their whole thing is promoting and improving literacy rates across the state of Kansas. They focus a lot on data around the long term impacts of literacy versus illiteracy. One of the initiatives they have, they will bring the parents in. First, they start out together and then they separate the parents and the children. The point is an opportunity to learn from the parents what their barriers to reading to their children are
Mhm.
in the evening or after school. Some feel an inadequacy in their reading. They feel ashamed because they feel like they can't read well. So it's offering them that support so they can start doing it with their kids. I've for a while been wanting to do this adult story
Mhm.
time, an opportunity in a safe space to be able to,
Mhm.
if you want to practice, nobody's gonna laugh at you. If that's what it's gonna take for you to start building that habit with your children, come, let's do it. Cause it is so pivotal, sis. I think I told you how my dad would record himself reading the books when he was deployed. He would read the page and he would say ding when it was time for me to turn the page. And I always talk about how, like, man, my dad and I have been through a whole lot, okay? But that is one of my fondest memories. Like, I hold on to that because it really fostered in me the love of reading that I have today. And it
Mhm.
started so early. I want more parents to be doing that.
My favorite saying about education is a child only educated at school is an uneducated child. You need to be educating your child at home. Back to the book. Did you have a favorite character?
Not really. None of them were super.
Endearing. What would you rate the book?
I would say a 3.8.
I'm leaning towards a 4. The story wasn't amazing, but it was very easy to read. It was a letdown a little bit
Yeah.
because it was built up so much tension, but I feel like that's realistic with families. Thank you for listening to our TED Talk, our rants. Happy Land by Dolen Perkins-Valdez.
Mhm.
If you have read it, please share your thoughts with us on socials. We have an email address that we will put on Instagram.
Yes.
So if you ever have thoughts or if we forgot something, definitely write in and we will start the next episode with your thoughts. Thank you for listening.